right before our eyes.
Back up! Back up! No shooting.
Ladies and gents, welcome back to AusGamers. You are here once again with Stephen Farrelly. I have Mr. Greg Goodrich, who is basically the man behind Warfighter, the new Medal of Honor game coming out. Everybody knows it's coming out because you guys have been talking about it quite a lot. I want to get straight into multiplayer because last time I had a chance to speak with Richard Farrelly.
Richard Farrelly, yes.
He's my long-lost brother, yes. Apparently. He couldn't talk about multiplayer. So let's go there. It seems like you guys have tried to one-up everybody in this space with your offering.
Well, you need to nowadays, right, to get noticed. It's such a competitive space, and our competitors are so good at what they do. You know, we're just trying to carve our own spot and make something that's uniquely Medal of Honor. You know, that's why we went with the 12 different Tier 1 units from 10 different nations, taking a much more global and international look to it. You know, historically, Medal of Honor has always been, an American-centric game focused on the American soldier. And, when you start talking about brotherhood, respect, and all those traits, those are not American-owned traits. Those are warrior traits. And so we wanted to open it up and give gamers, our fans, a sense of that national pride and to feel what it's like to be in the boots of their home nation's operators and such.
Can you pinpoint specifically where that genesis kind of actually came from?
Yeah, absolutely. It actually came from the guys, from the consultants, the Tier 1 guys that we work with. You know, we've worked with probably a little over 30 guys now since the last game that have come in, spent time in the studio. One of them is actually a full-time producer now in the game. And, they talk a lot about, camaraderie and brotherhood, but they also talk about this fierce sense of competition, right? They're all alpha males. And so in these units, especially at the international level, there's a common respect and a mutual respect, but there's also that sense of national pride and esprit de corps and wanting to be the best at everything you do. And so we figured, hey, let's answer that age-old question, or at least attempt to answer it. Who's the best special operations unit in the world? And so we came up with this concept of blue on blue, best versus the best, heroes versus heroes, and essentially who would win in a fight, Batman or Superman, and let gamers suit up and wave that flag and give it a go.
Now, of the 12 representatives, can you talk about whether or not there's going to be any of those guys actually appearing in the single-player campaign? I'm asking specifically if the SASR are going to be in the single-player campaign.
The Aussies, no, unfortunately, they're not in single-player. So we the units that we focused on in single-player, Task Force Mako, Blackbird, Grizzly from the United States Marine Corps make an appearance. The Grom show up in a level that is based on a situation that where the SEAL teams actually work with the Grom quite a bit overseas, and then obviously in the Philippines working with the Philippine counterterrorism forces. So we just try to remain authentic and focus on those operations and the types of things that we're doing with the types of units that they're doing with it. But, in speaking with the guys, they're the ones that helped us choose the 12 units. And the Aussies were one of the very first units that they brought up and said, you gotta have them in the game, because most every guy that we work with has fought with the Aussies overseas.
You guys aren't afraid to talk about the fact that this is the multiplayer is what it is, but you have this really rich single-player campaign, this rich story, pulled from, the headlines, if you will, and from the mouths of the guys actually out there doing that. It seems fitting to me that any post-content that you guys do, post-release content, should potentially include single-player content, which is something that none of the guys in this space seem to be doing. So I'm wondering, is that something on your radar?
We haven't talked about our DLC plans or our post-launch support. Obviously, any big franchise, big shooter especially, you have to support the game post-launch, and you could fully expect that we would do something like that, but we haven't officially talked about it. But I think we've set ourselves up really well in the sense that you're talking about global tier 1, you're talking about international operators. There are more tier 1 units out there than than the ones that are in our game. So we're in a pretty good position to extend and continue to support our product.
In terms of the multiplayer stuff, we have a real issue in Australia with latency, and it was a question that I wanted to ask about the dedicated server situation. I'm not 100% sure if you guys have actually spoken about your plans for that at all, or if there is a plan for that at all, but if I can beg you to do that, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, and so you can fully expect for us to support the same setup as Battlefield 3 had. We're same technology, same server base, and so we will support and follow their lead and the groundwork that they've laid with the technology.
In the demo that I just got hands on with before, there was a bit of an emphasis on potentially, hopefully, some of those modes going heavily into esports. In the production of the multiplayer, was that something that you guys were actively seeking? Yeah,
so spirit of competition and taking a page out of the FIFA playbook and like I said, that national pride, wave that flag and play for the home team. And the mode that you saw behind closed doors, the home run mode, was built specifically for that sense of competition, that sense of sport. Actually, we're in the Sarajevo Stadium. It's an Olympic-themed map. But that real kind of sense of close quarters, always being in an engagement, and those tight spaces, and the rounds are really, really fast, if you noticed. And just get that sense of keep moving. There is no respawn in that mode. But if any of our modes would support that the best, that certainly would be it.
So, I mean, you guys are on the home stretch. What's left internally?
Finishing it up, taking it over the finish line, right? And getting that every last turn of the crank that power's going off. We're going to keep going.
We're going to keep going.
Power went off. We're going to keep powering through it. Just bringing it, over the finish line and giving every last turn of the crank of quality and polish that we can get before they tell us, all right, stop working on it, you're done.
What was probably the biggest thing that you learnt going into Warfighter from critical feedback and just internally with the team from the first Medal of Honor reboot?
Yeah, we did a lot of things, and we set out to do a lot of things with that game. We brought the franchise out of World War II into the modern times. We were building a new studio in Danger Close. So we were growing our team, and we were very proud of that game. It wasn't a perfect game, but we were very proud of what we were able to accomplish in the time frame that we were given to accomplish it. And with this game, we've just tried to double down. We have a lot to prove with multiplayer, so we've really bolstered our internal DNA and sort of mindset around multiplayer. Historically, LA has been a very single-player focused, and as well as the franchise, has been a single-player focused franchise. And so we've brought on a lot of new blood and a lot of new individuals that's they've cut their teeth in that space. And like I said, just kind of taking that feedback and just trying to just carve our own spot and deliver something that's uniquely Medal of Honor and give our fans an experience that they can only get in a Medal of Honor game.
I'll wrap it up with one more question, Greg. Are you guys going to support any kind of, similar to the Battlefield Premium model, are you guys going to be doing that at all with Medal of Honor?
Yeah, again, we're still finishing off the main SKU. And again, we're going to continue to support the product post-launch and give it some legs, and hopefully fans will love it, gamers will appreciate it, and just really get into that sense of national pride and give us a reason to keep building more content.
Well, national pride is pretty big with us in our shooters, so I think everybody's going to be pretty happy back home to be able to play as the SAS. So thanks for including them in the game. Thanks for your time today, and cheers.